What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at it again with another video. So I'm gonna check out 11 most protected WWE wrestlers ever. Now, we've seen it time and time again. Certain wrestlers, they are impervious to all types of booking, especially if Vince McMahon is a fan of yours. There's a good chance that you will be impervious to all booking defeats that make you look weak. That's just what it is, you know. When you become the top guy, you get those type of luxuries. Your character is essentially bulletproof. So we're going to check out some of these wrestlers that were obviously heavily protected when it came to their booking situations in WWE. Appreciate all love and support. Let's get right into it, man.
Wrestlers. Number 11 most protected WWE wrestlers. Number 11, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Of course.
One of the key traits of Stone Cold
What
was
do you
that
mean?
he was extremely
Of course.
protective over his character. And this meant that if WWE gave Austin a creative
They were not
direction
gonna
that he
book
didn't
him
like,
into the ground.
he simply wasn't going to follow it. During the Attitude Era, Austin was WWE's resident top star. And because of this, losses were few and far between for the Texas Rattlesnake. And if he did lose, then it was going to be presented on pay-per-view, and it was going to be a huge deal. Now, this isn't to say that Austin was selfish, as when the time came for him to put over another wrestler, he truly gave it his all to make the wrestler look incredible. For Austin and WWE, it was just a case of protecting one of the biggest names to ever lace up a pair of boots, and that often meant that Austin was coming out with a victory in the majority of his featured matches.
You know Hulk Hogan gonna be on this list. He probably gotta be number 2 or number 1.
Number 10, Goldberg. Whilst the initial
I'm just waiting
WWE run
for
of
it.
Goldberg was a mixed bag, WWE did commit to presenting Goldberg as credible and legitimate. For his one-year run in the promotion, Goldberg would defeat top names such as The Rock, Triple H, and Chris Jericho, and it was extremely rare to see the former world champion take a pinfall loss. During 2003 alone, Goldberg won 37 out of 45 matches, which highlighted just how strong WWE's booking for Goldberg ended up being. Goldberg had numerous other part-time runs years later in WWE, and this saw Goldberg take a number of key losses, and WWE quite rightly liked to use Goldberg to put over names such as Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and even Roman Reigns. Number 9,
As he should.
Tatanka. Giving a wrestler a notable win streak is traditionally a way to tell the audience that they need to take that wrestler very seriously. However, it's up for debate whether this had any benefit to Tatanka, as his streak was never presented as a big deal, and it didn't feel remotely special when his streak was eventually broken. Tatanka was undefeated for around a 2-year period, and it came crashing down on the October 30th, 93 edition of Superstars, as Tatanka suffered his first televised defeat in WWE, losing to Ludwig Borger of all people. Borger himself would have a mini undefeated streak going, but when it came to Borger, WWE were prone to booking him to lose on live events. Number 8, Mansur.
Not him pinning him with one finger too. He just pinned him with one finger. That's kind of wild, bro. Pinned him with one finger.
Mansur managed to acquire a win streak of around 49 wins. The main aim behind the strong booking was so that Mansur would feel like a major star when WWE would have a show in Saudi Arabia. This even turned into a running joke with fans, as it was a given that if Mansur was wrestling in Saudi, he was going to win, no matter who he was wrestling on the card.
Yep.
The Wrestling Observer newsletter would claim that the streak was being kept to appease WWE's benefactors in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. However, according to Mansur himself during an interview with TalkSport, WWE officials weren't even monitoring the streak. It was absolutely not a thing. I remember when I realized I hadn't been losing, I was like, this is weird. What's going on around here? And then some fans was like, hey, do you know you haven't lost since the August of last year? You're like 30-0. And I didn't know that. Then a part of me was like, what's the purpose for this? It even came to a point where I'd actually go to people in the office, I won't say who, but I would go to them and say, please, I want to lose. I'm begging you. I want to put this guy over. And they were like, no. I think that's something that might have to do with it, was a conversation I had with Vince McMahon in Saudi Arabia, where he was like, we're going to get you gearing up to join us on the main roster. Mansur would eventually have the streak end in a random episode of Raw, and this subsequently ended the sustained push he'd received for the past few years. Number 7, Triple H.
Go in there, hey, I want to lose. No.
The Reign of Terror phrase often refers to Triple H's dominance and
course.
control over the main event scene in the 2000s. The game, while still popular and still a huge star, seemed to be holding other talent back, and he was booked incredibly strong. Triple H would win major matches throughout 2003 and even walked out of WrestleMania 19 still world champion.
This still doesn't sit right with me. They really fucked this up. Oh my gosh.
This style of booking was designed to make an unstoppable heel at the top of Raw, but it was understandable as to why it alienated a lot of the fan base. Triple H and WWE did learn from their mistakes in later years, as between 2005 and 2006, Triple H made it his mission to make new stars, and he proceeded to put over names such as John Cena and Batista on the grand stage of Mania. Number 6, The Ultimate Warrior.
Yep, he
to truly
definitely
examine
deserves
just
to
how
be on this
protected the
list
Ultimate
too.
Warrior was in WWE, it's important to analyze his win-loss record. From 1987 to 1996, Warrior's win-loss record would often be around a 90% win percentage. Simply put, Warrior rarely lost, and if he did, it ended up being one of the most documented losses of that calendar year. This type of booking was admittedly perfect for a gimmick like the Warriors, as it would have made little sense for the Warrior to be losing every match, and it would have no doubt been highly detrimental to the success of the character. Number 5, Hulk Hogan.
What? Hulk Hogan not number 1 on this as most protected? That's crazy.
Hogan often ended the calendar year by having won 90% of his matches, and this simply represented the signs of the respective time, as fans
And if he did lose, it wasn't clean.
in attendance weren't expecting anything other than a Hulk Hogan victory. Yes, Hogan's backstage influence and power may have had a hand in this strong booking over the years.
Oh, it did.
Yet even still, it did make business sense to present Hogan in the manner WWE did for such a long time. The Hulkamania era was a golden era for WWE in wrestling, and WWE were going to protect their number 1 star at all costs. And booking Hogan to lose a match was rarely going to be suggested in any capacity. Number 4, Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar was in WWE between 2002 to 2004, he was without a doubt protected. Pinning Lesnar was a rarity only awarded to exclusive talent, and it certainly enhanced Lesnar's mystique and aura. Upon returning to WWE in 2012, Lesnar was now a legitimate UFC fighter, and WWE had to protect Lesnar like he was their prized possession. Outside of some random and baffling losses, WWE did a great job in protecting Lesnar.
I mean, he did get his win back against John Cena in the most dominant way you possibly could ever have him lose. John Cena got squashed. Woohoo! John Cena got squashed. That's all I got to say. He got his win back, and he ended the Undertaker streak, which I still think that was a mistake. He is definitely super, mega overprotected. Man, what?
And eventually anyone who defeated Lesnar was instantly elevated as a result.
Yeah.
Lesnar also managed to use his backstage sway to protect himself as much as possible, and Lesnar was selected with the names that WWE had him lose to.
Yeah.
While this could create problems from time to time, Lesnar's decision making when it came to who he was putting over in the squared circle was usually the correct call. Number 3, The Undertaker. During the early 90s, WWE had to go all the way with their booking of The Undertaker. Booking the dead man in a generic spot which saw him lose all the time was going to destroy the character.
For
The
sure.
Undertaker would not have had a 30-plus year career at the top of WWE if he was losing more matches than he was winning. WWE realized this early on, as between 1992 and 1993, he was winning on average around 90% of his matches. WWE had a credible, legitimate star on their hands, and their protective booking was a definitive...
I mean, he's a dead man. You shouldn't be able to beat a dead man unless you have nefarious deeds or weaponry or some type of assistance. He's a dead man. The fuck? How you gonna beat a dead man?
factor in The Undertaker getting over. The best thing about the dead man was once he was established in his position, he was always willing to give back and put over other talents such as Mankind, Stone Cold, and Shawn Michaels, and this willingness drastically increased towards the end of the dead man's in-ring career. Number 2, Rhea Ripley. One of the names that is a personal favorite of Triple H is Rhea Ripley, and this has been displayed in his booking of the former women's champion. Ripley went over a 2-year stretch without being pinned in a match, and when you consider the WWE schedule, the thought of WWE allowing a talent to go 2 years without being pinned in the modern era is insane to think about. The booking of Ripley has received criticism, as some have said that her booking has lacked any sense of vulnerability, and this has been detrimental, especially when Ripley began to work as a babyface. Triple H and WWE clearly took these criticisms on board, as they decided to book Ripley to show much more vulnerability in her character work during the second half of 2024. And number 1.
Yeah, she's definitely beating Liv Morgan most likely on the Raw debut on Netflix. You know what? Roman Reigns being number 1, I thought it was gonna be Hulk Hogan. Yeah, you could still put Hulk Hogan there, but Roman Reigns, you can kind of put him in the modern day for sure, maybe right behind Hulk Hogan, because he rarely loses, especially in these past few. Like even before he went heel, he barely lost.
Roman Reigns. In modern WWE, it's hard for a wrestler to go an entire year without being pinned. However, when it comes to Roman Reigns, he spent a 3-year period without being pinned to the mat.
Yeah.
When Reigns turned heel in the summer of 2020, WWE decided that the best thing that they could do for Reigns' character was present him as truly unstoppable. If Reigns was in a match of any kind,
final
it was a
boss
foregone
for real
conclusion that he
before
was
The
winning.
Rock.
Whilst this did indeed become somewhat frustrating as a viewer, the quality of the matches themselves more than made up for this predictability. The first name to pin Reigns in almost 1,300 days was Jey Uso, who pinned Reigns during a tag match at the 2023 Money in the Bank event. This was a huge moment, and the crowd reaction to the pinfall was a sign that WWE's strong booking of Reigns had more than just paid off. But there you have it, folks. 11 of...
Honestly, I still kind of would have put Hulk Hogan there because, man, bro, I probably would have had Hulk Hogan at number 1. And then probably Roman Reigns at number 2 because Hulk Hogan, it was rare that he lost. And when he did lose, he was the type of person to lose and kick out right after the third pin. Like the third count from the referee, he would kick out, like as into he missed it just by that much. Or he would get beat up and, you know, ran over and you know, like disposed of in order for him to lose. So I don't know. I would have probably put Hulk Hogan there, maybe Roman Reigns number 2, but that's, you know, that's subjective at that point, depending on how you feel about it. So comment down below. Let me know, who do y'all feel like is the most protected wrestler of all time? If they weren't listening in this video, a lot of them were. But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See you on the next one. Peace.